Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this morning. I think you are now all connected with us. So welcome to this webinar organized in the framework of the project ToBeReal. We will focus today on the CBE JU program with our topic, turning your bioeconomy idea into a funded CBE JU project. We organize this webinar as a Bioeconomy for Change organization, which we will present just in a few minutes. So the program of this session this morning is the following. We will have an introduction session presenting you the context of this webinar with ToBeReal project, short B4C Bioeconomy for Change presentation, and a short presentation of CBE JU program, because this is not the aim of today of presenting the complete program, but going further with the following sessions on how to build a successful project with a focus on the structuration of the work plan and the task allocation, how to find the right partners, how to build a good budget, a session on how to write a good proposal with a focus on the business plan, and a focus on impact section, as well as our best tips and advices for a good proposal. Then we will end the session with some examples with the testimonial of an EU project funded by the CBE JU, with the presentation of Nicolas Issalis, who is EU project leader at ENIA. And then we will have question and discussion session. Regarding question and discussion, I can't see the chat, so I ask my colleague to interrupt if needed. But as participants, you can write your questions directly in the Q&A part of the webinar or in the conversation. And if it is okay, we can answer directly in the chat, or we will keep your question for the end of the session. So today we will be four main presenters. First, I will let the floor to Lara Valentin to present ToBeReal, and then we will be three people from Bioeconomy for Change cluster, and we are the three of us involved in the EU project team of this cluster. Lara, I will let you the floor just after this context. As I presented in the introduction, we will go beyond CBE general information with best practices and points of attention. If you want to have a complete description of the topics of the main requirements, on the website of CBE with the replay and the presentations of their webinar they organized a few weeks ago with several sessions. So today we will go further these general presentations already available, and we will help you to build the project, and we can apply ToBeReal project services to support you on this type of service. So Lara, I let you maybe present the context with the ToBeReal project.
Yeah, perfect. You continue sharing the screen?
As you want, I can keep the sharing and you.
Yeah, maybe I will share it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Lara Valentin. I'm the coordinator of the project ToBeReal, where this webinar is embedded. ToBeReal is a project for empowered bioeconomy projects. by deploying technical, business, regulatory, and social services assistance. I will give you a brief description of the project and how we can help and support the bioeconomy community in Europe, very briefly. First, well, Pieno Innovation is the coordinator of the project, and both we participate as Pieno Innovation Spain, Pieno Innovation Portugal, and Pieno Digital in Italy. The project is it started in November 2024. It's a CCA. It was under this topic, the CBE 08, Bioeconomy Project Development Assistance. You can see in the map who are our partners. We are 13 beneficiaries, partners, and one affiliated entity, and we cover 10 European countries. You have here the information of our website and the LinkedIn, and that I hope that you can follow up after this webinar. And the project is going to be run until October 2029. So it's still a lot of time for supporting the bioeconomy in Europe. So our main goal is to catalyze public, private, and public-private bioeconomy projects at different stages of maturity, leading to a higher number of flagships in projects across Europe in the bioeconomy sector. So why we are unique? It's the only project currently with this specific focus. So we have already some activities finished, and the other ones that are ongoing. We already identified key barriers and drivers that are limiting or enabling the scalability. These barriers are going to be published soon in open reports for all the communities. So that's why I encourage you to follow us in LinkedIn, because we are going to have quite interesting insights about barriers and drivers in bioeconomy from different perspectives. We work during the beginning of the project in how to make a portfolio of services within 4 verticals that I will explain you a bit later on more. Of the readiness level, and we in our project we do a lot of dissemination and communication activity like these webinars. We do workshops, and we are going to organize 3 big events. They are called BioBeach Forum, that I will explain you a bit more later. And most important, that we not only give one-time assistance to our projects. It's the approach is like a mentoring approach, that we will provide long-term assistance strategy towards this flagship status for those projects that we believe they have more chances to become flagship. As I said, the main event in ToBeReal is the BioPitch Forum. For those selected projects, we will invite them to these events to foster the matchmaking and collaboration, for the idea generation and pitch presentation, and to engage with the different stakeholders in the bioeconomy. Regarding the services, as I inform you, we have a service portfolio in 4 verticals. We have the technical vertical, where we deploy these different type of services. We have the business vertical and financial vertical with these services, and regulatory and policy vertical with these 2 services, and then the social innovation vertical with all these services. So how we do this very quickly. I encourage you to give more information in our website or contact us. So this number of services are in our website, and anyone working in a bioeconomy project can apply. but you have to choose different a package of services you need. No, it's a limitation. So we give you 60 coins, so 60 ToBe coins, and you can make your package as you want to reach these 60 ToBe coins. As you can see, each sub-service has a value. Some have 20, 30, some of them have even 40 ToBe coins. So the system in the application form will limit you, will tell you like you cannot apply more, okay? So you can combine them as you want from these four verticals. For example, if there is a entity that wants this emerging bioeconomy technology intelligence, it's 20 coins. And then plus the identification of public funding opportunities and application strategy design, 30 coins. And then you have 10 more. Maybe you can combine it with the online co-creation workshop with target stakeholders. So in total, 60 ToBe coins. Very important, these services are for free and they are deployed by the partners that we are part of the project. We have an internal system and for evaluation of the applications and then for the deployment of the services. And we internally select the best group of evaluators and who will deploy the service. For example, regarding the context of this webinar, we believe that if you are now putting an idea of CBE, maybe you are interested in this service, like identification of public funding instrument and application strategy design. We have this service that, very briefly, aims to assist bioeconomy projects in assessing and identifying the most suitable public funding at European, national, and regional levels, and even we can offer support to provide information on available funds, the coding calls, and even tips on how to write the proposal. Okay. I also want to give you information about our next events. We are now currently preparing. We will have another webinar in June. The date is to be confirmed, about the new circular bioeconomy strategy that the European Commission just published. Then we have this feedstock workshop. We have already two, and the third one is coming, and it's all the focus about feedstocks, biomass feedstocks. The next feedstock that we are going to tackle is the aquatic feedstock. We are going to organize it in May in Porto, in 19th of May. All these entities are the co-organizers together with our colleagues from Portugal. So if you are interested to join, this is it's not online, it's in-person meeting and everyone is welcome. And then for those projects that we are currently assessing and we believe they have more likelihood to become flagship, we are invite them to the BioPitch Forum, which is going to be a satellite event in the framework of the Pitch Perfect event that our partners BioBase Europe Pilot Plant organize at the end of this year. So this is quite a big milestone for us for these projects that we are currently assessing. No more than just to say thank you, and please register to the community, to the LinkedIn and to our community, because and populate it within your network, because inside this community we will have these open reports that are for free and they are deliverables quite interested, and we have other nice information in this community. So we are here to support you, and I hope that you have a very nice webinar, and I give the floor back to you, Chloe.
Thank you, Lara. I will share the presentation again here.
So maybe while you share, I could specify two things. So when we talk about flagships in the frame of ToBeReal, it's not the same as flagships in a CBE JU. We talk about flagship as projects that reach high TRLs or have the potential to reach high TRLs within ToBeReal. And if you would like to access our services, please feel free to apply because you need to go through an application and you can find all this information in our website. I will continue. Thanks, CluBE, for the slides. I'll briefly present Bioeconomy for Change. So we are a reference network in bioeconomy. We cover the entire bioeconomy sectors, from bioresources, so the production of biomass, to different application sectors. That means bio-based molecules, bio-based materials, food and feed, and bioenergies. We have more than 500 members, so we are quite wide. We also organize events throughout the year, approximately 45 events per year. And that includes also the BioCat conference that we organize each year. That's international, that happened in March last month in Switzerland. We also support our members in the project engineering. We also offer monitoring platform for all of the basic watch tool. You can customize it to receive the news about the industry that is of interest. We promote the bioeconomy because we are present in strategic decision-making bodies at national and European level, and we have a wide network internationally, not just in France. So we have a lot of contacts also in Europe and elsewhere. Here you can find on the left-hand side some examples of companies that are part of our network, so that are members. We have about 20% of large companies, 19 of SMEs. We also have startups, 33%, so the most share. And then we also have academics and NGOs and other stakeholders such as banks and associations and such. Then next, I'd like to talk briefly about the bio-based industry consortium. So CBE JU is a public-private partnership, which means that the public part is taken by the European Commission that organizes the program in partnership with the big consortium, the Bio-Based Industry Consortium. It's a consortium of industrials that pay a membership yearly. And in exchange, they have the right to help develop the annual program. So there are several meetings per year that are organized, and you can define the topics that are strategic for your company. You can also have access to events that are reserved for your members. For the big members, sorry, to already build your consortium in advance and such. Be also informed that Bioeconomy for Change was involved in the creation of this big consortium and the CBE program. And currently, one of our colleagues is still in the board of the BIC. He's the vice president of the BIC, so we have quite an important role to play in this program. And then I'll let the floor to CluBE to explain briefly what the CBE program is.
Yes, thank you, Anne. And you will see that big members are quite important while designing your consortium and project. Right after. So just to remind that the CBE JU program is operating until with project until 2031. We will have this year a new, so we have a new call for project, and we will have the last one next year, and project running until 2031. So it's a public-private partnership between the European Commission and the Bioindustry Consortium, funding projects on delivering bio-based solutions, including materials, products from waste and biomass. And it is based on the success of the predecessor program called BBI JU. The main objective is to go further classical Horizon Europe project by accelerating the innovation, accelerating the market deployment, and ensuring environmental performances. So it is complementary to classical Cluster 6 Horizon Europe, for example. The particularity as well is that we have the same type of projects, so RIA, IA, and CSA, but this program offers the opportunity to fund large-scale, first-of-its-kind product facility called flagships. So as Anne just mentioned, this is not the same definition of the flagship project part of ToBeReal. Here for CBE, a flagship is really the first-of-its-kind industrial plants in Europe. Each year, opportunities for industrial plants. We have the examples of today's topics in the slide after, but just to show you and remind you the timing for this year. So next week will be the official call launch until 22 of September. So you have the forthcoming months to prepare and submit your project. So we are just on time with this webinar helping you to structure your project. And we expect approved project to run and start next year. So just to remind you also that today we already know the topics that are eligible and opened. So you have all the list here, and you have the details of each topic in the annual work program available on CBE website. So today's webinar is will not go into details of each topic. You have all the CBE resources for that, but we start with our best advices and good practices to start preparing your project. And I let the floor to Anne to start with basing our words on the expected evaluation.
Yes, thanks, Chloe. Okay, so to kickstart this advice session, I think it's good to remind the different evaluation criteria that are taken into account when the reviewers are scoring your proposal. It's a score out of 15, and there are 3 different criterion that are evaluated. The first one is excellence out of 5. The second one is impact that has a coefficient of 1.5. So that's the difference compared to Horizon Europe proposal where there is no coefficient. But here it's 1.5. So it's one of the most important criterion of your proposal. And the last one is implementation. So excellence corresponds to the clarity and relevance of your of the objectives, the ambition level of the project, so how you go beyond the state of the art, and also the credibility of your methodology. Then the impact evaluates the response to the objectives, and also the scale and importance of the expected contribution and impacts, the quality of the measures that you take that will maximize the project's impact. So you need to really provide some figures, even if it's estimations, but I think it's important to back up your impact with figures and science. Then the implementation will evaluate the effectiveness of the work plan, the risk assessment, the skills, experience, and also complementarity of each participant, and the quality of the consortium as a whole. The threshold to reach is 11 out of 15. But even if you reach 11, doesn't mean that your project will get funded, because now it's becoming more and more competitive, and usually projects that are winning reach 15 out of 15, or at least 14 out of 15. So you really need to make sure that you achieve excellence in your project to have a chance to be funded. We can go on. I do not see the next slide. I think there is a slight delay.
Oh, sorry. I mean the value chain slide.
Okay, maybe I can take the share. No,
Yes, please.
okay. It's coming. I don't know if we should switch. I think your internet is a bit slower. Okay, let me take the share of the screen then.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for this slight technical issue. Okay, so now I will talk about how to structure your project, and we'll start with how to build a consortium. So I think one good way to start is to have a graph or something that looks like this, because you know that for CBE JU project, you need to have partners that represent the whole value chain. So from the raw material sourcing and pretreatment to the transformation and production of your products or ingredients, and then the application, validation of your product, and also characterization of your product. Then you can map the different missing expertise accordingly, and do not also forget all the transversal partners that will also be important, for instance, for the environmental analysis, the LCA, social acceptance, and whatnot. That depends also on the requirements of the specific topic you're applying to. And then you'll have a partner also for communication, dissemination, exploitation of the results, because it's mandatory for CBE JU. Before she actually can have this role, we can be your partner, but there are many others. So some tips for the consortium building. It's always good to match requirements of your topic to partners in the consortium. So you will have to check each bullet point, and you need to be able to address each one of them with your partner and planned activities. If there is anyone that's missing, then it's probably because you're missing a partner. Check also some specific additional requirements. The multi-actor approach is specific to CBE JU, so you need to make sure that you do not have only academics or only industrials, so you need to have some complementary profiles. Sometimes even the civil society, NGOs, and more. Do not use the geographical location as a primary criterion. It's often a question that we have. Okay, is it okay if we have more than 3 partners that are French? Are we going to be badly evaluated if so? So be aware that it's better to focus on the expertise, the relevance, and also the complementary of expertise of your consortium. And if we have a look at how proposals are ranked, so in case the proposal have the exact same score, they will first look at the score for an innovation action, let's say. They will first look at the score of impact, and if a proposal has a higher score for impact, it will be chosen first. And then they will look the gender balance among the consortium. The leading roles, are there equal number of male and female? And then only they will look at the geographical diversity and see how many member states or associated countries are represented. So it comes only a third if and only if there is an equal score with other proposals. Then how to build a work plan. So first, it's essential to clearly define the scope of your project and define the expected outcomes, outputs. So what are you going to produce by the end of the project? Then you will have to define work packages. They are the building blocks of your work plan, and they should align with your objectives. And there are some examples above. Feel free to go on the website of After Biochem. It's a ongoing or close to be finished project. Then each work package should have a work package leader. It should have a clear purpose. It should have a specific task. So you can have a look also on the Gantt chart that's often in proposals. So you'll have work package 1, then the task 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and also corresponding deliverables and milestones. You need to state who will be responsible for each task, what resources you will need, and that will go together with the budget. So all of that should be coherent. And also the expected outputs again. So some tips to build your work plan. You should not have significant difference of amount of work. For instance, you should not have one big and main work package and small ones around it. The work plan should also show effective collaboration between the partners. It's not advised to have one partner that's work package leader of almost all work packages. Will show that the budget will be directed towards one main partner and not the others. You should not show too much unbalance, although it's normal to have some differences, especially if the partner is the coordinator of the consortium. You need also to make sure that each work package has a relevant and achievable deliverables and milestones. You need to prove somehow to the program that you can deliver something and prove that you have worked on your task and obtained the results. And then last, double check the coherence of your work package milestones, the deliverable due dates, and the overall timeline. And that's why you need to, it's better, you do not need to, but it's better to build a Gantt chart to make sure that everything is logical in terms of also of the timing. And then to finish this part, it's always good to have assessed the critical risk for implementation and define some mitigation measures. So you can build a table like the one shown on the screen. So for each work package, you should define the relevant risk and propose sound and efficient mitigation measures. Make sure that when you identified critical risk, you have relevant mitigation measures because the risk should not compromise too much your expected outcomes, especially if you define the risk as high likelihood and also high severity. And then I will let the floor to Roman for how to find the right partners.
Yes, so I will continue with this question. So as we said before, the consortium complementarity is very important. So now how to find them? One of the most effective ways to build your consortium is to rely on your existing network, on the network of your network. First, clusters are very useful. Their mission is to connect innovation actors on support industrialization projects. So they often already have the right contacts. Don't hesitate to contact them. Then national contact points, especially for Horizon Europe Cluster 6, can help you identify relevant partners and understand expectations. Consulting companies also play a role as they have access to large databases of potential partners on ongoing project ideas. And finally, a very important point, don't hesitate to mobilize the network of your existing partners. If you already trust some partners, they can bring in additional actors they've already worked with, which help build a strong and reliable consortium. In addition to your own network, there are also dedicated tools and events to help you find partners. First, the funding and tender portal remains a key entry point to identify partners on ongoing initiative. The CBE networking platform is also very useful. It allows you to present your project ID, search for partners, and directly interact with other participants. You can also showcase your expertise and schedule one-to-one meeting, which is very efficient. Then there are physical events like the CBE networking event in Brussels. The next one will be in the 21st April, which are great opportunities to meet potential partners in person. And finally, if you are part of BIC, you also have access to additional networking opportunities such as matchmaking events on online tools. We'll have the QR code for the events.
Thank you, Roman. So you have here the access to the events and networking platform. Now we will go on the budget. So as soon as you have defined the work plan, the task, the activities that will be needed to carry out to develop your project, you will be ready to define the resources and the costs needed to implement the work plan. So I just remind you before that, do not hesitate to ask your questions in the Q&A corner. If you have something that is not clear for you on the past session, we will be able to go back and detail if needed. So regarding the budget and the costs, first, be aware that there is different types of funding rates depending on the TRL of your project. So, Anne, if you can let appear, thank you. So for the research and innovation type of project, each type of organization is funded of 100% for all type of entities. So both private and non-profit entities are funded, have eligible cost funded at 100%. Then for innovation actions, so it means for the demo and the flagships, it will be 100% again for the non-profit entities and 60% for the private entities. And what is included in that about the eligible cost? So you have two categories. First, the direct cost, including the personnel cost with the salaries of the people working on the project. You have also subcontracting cost eligible. So be aware that it doesn't have to be too important. So subcontracting is eligible, but it doesn't have to represent a big task of your project. So be careful about that. And then you have other direct costs, which includes travel and subsidence, depreciation of the equipments, and other types of goods, works, and services. Then applied to that, you have a flat rate of 25% of the direct cost, excluding the subcontracting. So as soon as you have personnel cost and other direct costs defined, there will be an amount of indirect cost officially applied and included in your budget to cover the costs which are not so easily tangible. It may be electricity cost, infrastructure cost. So it's a flat rate allowing to cover this type of costs which are not so easy to define for your project. You have example with the image and if you can. So this is the way of your budget is appearing in the proposal, but in the next slide, you can rely on an Excel building file helping you to construct and build your budget. So this is typically an Excel file. There is many more templates available, but this type of file can help you build the project before submitting your project. So here is the eligibility rules, and after we have specific rules about the funding specific to CBE. We told you just before that big members are important in CBE, and that are important because they count on the rule on the in-kind contribution. The specific criteria for CBE for the in-kind contribution, because there is a need to show an ability to provide sufficient level of in-kind contribution by private members. Private members in CBE are defined as big members. So you have to include big members in your project, and they have to cover a minimum percentage of the in-kind contribution of your project. So you can see on the graph below that the in-kind contribution is the eligible cost that will be not reimbursed by CBE JU. So there is a minimum of 5% for the research and innovation action, 15% for the innovation actions demo, and 20% for the innovation flagship to demonstrate in-kind contribution covered by big private members. Private members, big member. You have an example. It can be quite complicated when you read this rule, but when apply and build in your budget, it's more easy. So we just have shown the example for an innovation action flagship, but CBE details for each type of funding area, IA demo, some examples for you to understand. So here for this example, we have several industry and academy members. And some of them are big members. I think these are the ones with the star industry recipient 2 and beneficiaries 3. They are all big members. No, sorry. It's the coordinator and the recipient. So here you have several types of organization, and you can see that only the ICOP of the big members are counting in the total ICOP to be demonstrated of the 20% minimum. I will not go into more details at the moment unless there is more questions, and we maybe go into specific questions on that if you have some. But be aware that this is an important criteria while building your consortium, that you have to include big members. And in the next slide, if you consider a company or an organization who is not already a big member, it's not a problem, because there is a process of big membership application always open during the CBE proposal preparation phase. So you can submit your application to BIC while preparing your CBE, and you will only be obliged to apply to BIC only if your project is approved. So it means that you have the declaration of intention to become a BIC member, but if your project is not funded, you will not have to pay for BIC membership. So you just need the certificate that is needed to ask on the BIC platform, and then only if your project is approved, the organization who asks for BIC membership will have to pay for the membership, and you have to pay for the membership for the whole project duration. As if your project is approved, you have to be a BIC member until the end of your project. So I hope it's clear. I think we can go on the session on best practices to write the proposal, and I let the floor again to Anne.
Yes, thank you. So writing the proposal. So first, some specific requirements are described in the program of CBE. You need to make sure that your feedstock has a source that's well identified, and CBE requires that it comes from Europe. You need also to show some environmental performance. So ex-ante assessment is before the project, and ex-post assessment is while the project is ongoing. So you need to have that clearly defined in your proposal. You need to show so that it's a multi-actor approach. And there are some requirements regarding digital technologies. You need also to show some socio-economic impacts. So that will be described in the proposal in the section called Projects Pathway Towards Impact. We are going to talk about that later on. And then some business aspects. And I will go into that in a moment as well to explain the different requirements depending on if you're applying for research innovation action, for an innovation action, or for a flagship, because you'll have, of course, different levels of business aspects to provide. So that's the transition, how to define a business plan. So first, for research innovation action, what you'll have to show is economic viability of your products or processes. For this, you need to include the entire value chain, and you need to have also targeted some potential markets. Then for an innovation action, you have to show a business case and a business model. It should be solid and sound. You need to cover all actors in the value chain. And then for a flagship, you'll need to provide not only a business case and business model, but also a business plan with a detailed preliminary activity plan in a separate appendix. And I'll show it to you in the next few slides, what is expected for flagship. So of course, because flagship is the first of its kind plant, it's an industrial unit. So you need to provide some data to show how profitable it will be and all of that. And that will be separate from your proposal. So you need to add an annex with this specific information. So it's important when you define a business plan to map the market and show that you understand the market in which your product is comprised. You need to define the different products that you are competing with. They will be your benchmarks. And for these competitive products, it's important to show the market growth, the average market price of these products, who are producing these products, so your main competitors, and the market share that they have. And then for the developed product, so the ones that you're producing with your project, you need to estimate a price. It should be either price parity, so the same price as the competitive products, or cheaper. Or if it's a higher price, you need to be able to show that it has a competitive advantage. If we talk, for example, about biopesticides, if it's a higher price than the corresponding conventional pesticide, then maybe you'll need to apply only 1/3 of the volume. So that explains why it's still interesting for the client to buy your biopesticide, because they will need less amount. So it at the end will cost them less. And then you need to show the clients that you're targeting. You need to have identified them. And also you need to define your competitive advantage as compared to the benchmark. It could be in terms of performance, it could be in terms of environmental benefits, but that should convince, of course, your clients. The key elements to describe in a business case, you need to show the different opportunities. That's usually what we call the white spaces. Are there any white space or space not products not existing on the market yet, but you need to show there is a demand from the consumers. So it's market push or technology pull. Then challenges, the pricing, the sale channels, you need to have some markets already targeted. So what will be the applications of your product? Then you need to also show that you understand the different regulatory aspect, that the regulation is favorable to the go-to-market of your product. If there is any barrier, let's say you're developing a product that's for the food sector, but it will need the novel food dossier to be approved by the regulation. Maybe it's okay for research innovation action, but then if it's an innovation action that can prevent the go-to-market of your product, because it takes years to have the approval. So you need to show that you have thought about this, include it in the product if needed. Then the technical aspects, you need to show again what are the different advantages of your product on a from a technical point of view, and also map the different risk and mitigation measures. You can, of course, use a table to map them, so show the different risks, describe them, and show what are the mitigation measures that should not, the risk should not compromise the success of your proposal once again. Okay, I think I skipped. Yes, feel free also to use the Canva business models. It's quite common to see them in proposals. It helps you in a visual way to map the different elements of your business plan, the channels, the key activities, the key resources, the partners, and all of that. The business plan for a flagship, so you can find all of these requirements in the CBE annex. It should be a detailed description of how the business will be developed. It should be concise, compelling, coherent, comprehensive, credible, and clear. All of that at once. A business plan should also include the executive summary, the company strategy, the management structure, your product development strategy, the market and consumer landscape, the competitive landscape. So it's not just identifying the main competitors, but it's really the full landscape. A marketing strategy, a production strategy, also the risk analysis, a financial plan, and a milestone plan. So the questions that your business plan should answer are: how will the project team make a success of this project or technology? What are the expected benefits in terms of finances, but also non-monetary? And the elements that the financial analysis should include are the projected benefits, the projected balance sheet, the anticipated cash flow, and also the estimated net present value, NPV, which is quite substantial. So most of the companies that apply for flagship ask consulting companies to help them. A lot of information to provide. And I'm finished with the business plan. Now we'll go to how to write a successful proposal. And we are going to start with the lesson learned from past calls. So let the floor to Roman.
Yes. So first, we advise to start early with your correlation between earlier proposal creation dates in the funding and tenders portals and higher evaluation results. So it's important to anticipate. Don't lose easy points. So make sure not to forget any requested specific requirement from CBE JU or the topic text, like dedicated task in the work plan, for example. And double check ECOP calculation in the proposal budget table and ensure consistency with the annexed big annexes. On some frequent issues that it's better to avoid as an influencing business part, so business case, model, or plan. And then soon risk management and work plan and mismatch between topic scope and expected outcomes.
So these are the advices from CBE JU program themselves, and that's why we based our presentation today to focus on business part, work plan, risk management. And about the last points, scope and expected outcomes. So it's in the next the next slide, sorry. We wanted to show again the differences between the scope and expected outcomes, which is the two main paragraphs of the topic that are described in the work program. So when you when you are attracted by a top title, the reflex is to go and read the complete topic, which is divided into expected outcomes and scope. In expected outcome session, this is the change to be achieved. This is the general description of the impact that the project should have. So the expected impact CBE JU is waiting for your project. And in this section, you have also the dissemination and exploitation of the future research results essential for impact. So it is mentioned in this topic paragraph. And then before, in the scope, this is the issue. So they are detailing a bit the context, the challenges that is defining the topic. Why CBE JU is proposing this topic is because they identify some challenges, current challenges, and they are expecting some projects to resolve these challenges. So this is the definition you can find in the scope. There is also the definition of the problem you have to answer, and this section does not correspond to the expected solutions to the problem, but the approach to be taken. So having this in mind, you can go also on, it is really important, and it's, I think, the first advice in the next slide, please, Anne, of our best advices and expectation for a proposal. So the first thing to do is to read carefully the topic itself, but also the preliminary pages of this annual work program. So you have all the context challenges to be addressed, as well as an important document, which is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda of CBE. So these documents are the basis of why CBE JU funding program is existing, is because there is some gaps that need to be addressed. And for you show in your proposal that you are aware of these gaps, aware of these challenges. So you have to convince that your project will contribute to these gaps and challenges. So you really base your project on these two strategic documents. And there is also many information in those documents about the eligibility rule, eligible feedstocks, how to structure your project, etc. And if you still have some pending questions, we wanted to remind that there is also a big FAQ for applicants regularly on their website. Then our advice is to ensure that the proposed work fits within the scope. So as mentioned just before, so in the coming minutes, we will sum up the advices that we present all along our presentation and summarize. Then you have to demonstrate an idea which is ambitious and go beyond the state of the art. You have to demonstrate the quality of the implementation. So that's why the work plan, the budget, and the consortium are so important. You also have to clearly show how the work could contribute to the results and impacts of the work program, so of CBE JU, how you contribute to solve the challenges that CBE is pointing. Then you have to describe the measures, quantify the impact of your project, and you have to demonstrate a methodology that takes into account open science practices and interdisciplinarity. So sometimes the gender dimension is mandatory in some topic, as well as the multi-actor approach. So these are general advices that we wanted to remind. And in the next slide, we also have more precise keys to success for a winning proposal. So the same C for a business plan that Anne just presented before. So it's the same applies to your proposal. the proposal has to be convincing because about the methodology, the methods that are used, the challenges and their solution. You have to be very convincing to the evaluators about the change you will address with your project. You have to contextualize your proposal, how the project fits in with national, regional, European strategies, synergies, and you have to contextualize on the state of the art. The evaluators and the expert will for sure verify that your solution is not already existing in another, for example, in a regional level. So you really need to show that you are basing your project in a context and you go beyond. Then you have to be captivating because you have to describe the impacts in order to be, captivating to the long-term impact, their magnitude and their barriers for the development. So the impact is really important for CBE JU. As a reminder, this is criteria which counts more in this type of project. Then you have to be credible and realistic. The expert and the evaluator will also see if your project is not credible. So you have to be really careful about that. You have to be convinced of your project, but also credible. You have to be aware of the risk. So that's why it is important and mandatory to list the risk, to be aware of existing risk, because there are some for sure. And you have to propose and anticipate with mitigation measures. It is mandatory. And then an advice is to be very coherent between the section, between the excellence, the impact, and the implementation. And for that, do not hesitate to take some help with the cluster you are members of. This is part of our job. With consulting companies, this is part of the job. And that's why we are all in a ToBeReal project, because we have the expertise on helping you on this type of activity. To build a successful proposal is not so easy when you start. So that's why we are here to support you with our experience on this funding. Then we have specific recommendation just to remind and for the several types of actions. So for RIA, research and innovation actions, so it's a reminder that this type of projects from TRL 3 to TRL 4-5 have to fill specific gaps in the value chain through the developments of building blocks, products, technologies and processes. So this type of funding funds projects that to resolve technological or non-technological bottlenecks that will enable to scale up to a demo stage, to a future innovation action demonstration project. So that's why at the end of a RIA project, the main milestone the main question is, are we ready to go on demo stage or not? So this is the purpose of an area, and that's why sometimes due to the TRL, it can be coordinated by an academic actor because they are low TRL, but in CBE project, it is necessary to have at least one industrial partner involved, at least one, but it can be more, to guarantee that the outputs of the project will go further after RIA to a demonstration project. Then for an innovation action demonstration, so from TRL 5 TRL 7, the objective is the demonstration and economic of a new or improved technology, process, product, services, or value chain. And this demo phase is the last step before investing in a commercial plant with a triple objective. The project will be used to verify that the technology can be scaled up at industrial level. It will contribute to develop the process book, the specification for the engineering of a future industrial plant. And it will also have the objective to produce a product or a process of an industrial quality and thus supply the future customers and guarantee future customers. Then the size of the demonstrator is the minimum size allowing these three conditions to be met. So that's why we fund demo, innovation action demo. And the question we have to answer at the end of this type of project is to go or no go to an industrial stage, a future CBE flagship project. So CBE is really careful about that, about the scale up, the scalability of your developments. And then for a flagship, when you arrive at the industrial level, so you need some fund to finance the first commercial plant of this type of industrial in Europe. So there is still a risk of investment. So CBE is aware about that and contribute to go through and go upon the risk of investment. So they contribute to that. The size of this flagship project is the minimum size to be profitable. And we remind you the rules of the 20% of ICOP by for the eligible cost. What we call additional investment, IKAA, which are the investments that are not funded by CBE, not eligible, but they will contribute to the construction of your plant. They will contribute to the objective of CBE, and they will increase the use of project results. Your CBE funds will not cover all the budget necessary to build your plan. So it's good to show CBE that you are planning some additional investment, like new facilities, infrastructure that are not funded by CBE, extra communication dissemination activity. It will be important for CBE to show that you are investing as well on this project. And it's applicable to innovation action and innovation action flagship, but it's not an evaluation criteria. It's a plus. And I think this is all for the main recommendation, and we will have a focus on the impact section. I think we are a bit out of the timing, but as I can see, there is no many questions in the Q&A for the moment, so we can take some time for the impact.
Right. This is the last section anyways. So how to write an impact section? I think to start this section, it's good to have in mind the different definitions of some key words. So first, the expected results, what we also call the outputs, correspond to the deliverables of your research and innovation projects. So what do you expect to generate by the end of the project? It could be new processes, technologies, molecules, materials, software, products, services, and all that. And then the outcomes, that corresponds to the changes you expect to see following the successful dissemination and exploitation of the project's results. So they are the expected medium-term effects of your project, whereas the expected results are the short-term results. And then the impacts, they are the broader societal effects from the project. So they are more the longer term effects on society or on the environment made possible by the project results. So it's not only after dissemination exploitation, it's after a few years when the scientific community has taken up the different knowledge that have been produced and all that. So there is really, between these three words, outputs, outcomes, and impacts, a timing difference, short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Then dissemination, exploitation, and communications also are interesting to understand the differences. So communications involve reaching society as a whole, so various non-specialist audiences throughout the project's duration. Dissemination is more targeted to potential users. It could be pairs, it could be industry, policymakers, non-profit organizations will adapt the content of our dissemination material according to the audience that we target. And then the exploitation refers to the use of results, whether to help further research or commercial purposes or training and education, public policy development, and more. So that's for the key definitions. Then when you start thinking about your impact pathway, the first question you should ask yourself is, what is the size and depth of the problem that you are trying to resolve? Let's take an example. If you're developing a packaging that is edible to replace plastic bottles, so what's the size and depth of the problem? The problem is the packaging that is usually made of plastic. Plastic bottles cause pollution. They cause health adverse effect also to the wildlife. So you can describe it and provide numbers. What are the numbers of plastic bottles that are produced and the depth of the problem? So what type of consequences does it lead to? Then what are the direct and indirect causes of the problem? That also you can think about them. Then who is the project aimed at? So in the case of the example for replacing plastic bottles, first it's aimed at the citizens. The goal is to reduce the pollution, the plastic pollution that causes harm to human and to the environment. So the citizens will be a target beneficiary. It will reduce the pollution of their environment. Then it could be, I don't know, directed towards athletes that need to use water when there is no tap water available. So you can provide a list of different beneficiaries and why they would benefit from this specific technology you are developing. And then you need also to understand if and what are the existing solutions, what are their limits. Of course, you'll have some competing products. Again, if we take back the example, there will be some companies developing bottles made of paper, some sort of cellulose paper. What are their limits? Why your product is standing out? And how innovative is your product? Is it better than the existing solutions? What does it help solving in addition to the existing solutions? Then to build your impact, yeah.
Just to let you know that Nicola has to leave at 12 sharp. So just to have this in mind to let him present his experience in the timing.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. We just have, I think, 3 slides left.
Yes.
So the step 1 to build your impact pathway is to select the most representative information that will help you quantify the scale of the problem. So as just mentioned, identify the target groups. You need to provide detailed figures on these target beneficiaries. It's always better for the impact session if you provide figures once again. Then the step 2 and 4, you need to understand what will be the expected results, so the outcomes also and impacts on the longer term. And then the step 3 will be communication, dissemination, exploitation. So you need to find some actions. Related to the exploitation of the results, to make sure that your project will reach different target groups and that the result will be useful to people either in the scientific community or in the wider public. Then you need also to distinguish the different types of impact. So they are various, and usually for each one of them we define what benefits will bring. So scientific impact, usually it's mostly the generation of new scientific knowledge. Then the economic impact, it could be the creation of economic value through the development of new products, or it could be also the creation of new jobs. It would be also maybe it can improve the productivity or competitiveness of your region, of your territory. Then the systemic impact that corresponds to the modification of creation of public policies. Then the social impact, impact on people, societies, the well-being and quality of life. Then the environmental impact, that's quite self-explanatory, but it's not just the climate change, it's also impact on biodiversity. It can improve biodiversity loss. It can be also the pollution that's generated and all of that. And social environmental impacts are usually intertwined, and we call them societal impacts. So we talked about that a few slides ago. Social impact is important to define in your project. So you need to talk both about the social and environmental and how these two categories fit together. There are many criteria you can use to define them. It could be about the quantity, the quality. It could be about whether it's symptoms treatment solution, or if it targets the root causes, any direct or indirect impact. So there are plenty of things to think about. And last slide before I give the floor to Nicolas for the testimonial. It's also very important to define measurable impacts and corresponding indicators. If we talk about environmental impact, then choose an indicator. It could be CO2 emission avoided, and that will really allow you to show that your impact is backed up by science, by calculations. So you can show the total carbon footprint avoided through the development of the solution. For social impact, it could be, or economic impact, it could be the number of jobs created that you're planning to create. You can feel free to use your own indicators, and they will be the most relevant for your project. But if you need some inspiration, there are some databases you can use to find indicators and get inspired to find corresponding indicators corresponding to the impact you like to measure. That's it for me.
Thank you, Anne. So after presenting a lot of advices, we wanted to illustrate our words with the testimonial of an example of a successful project. And we invited to share with you the experience of Nicolas from Enya, who is a partner of ToBeReal project as well, as they are coordinating the Mix Matters project. So Nicolas, thank you again for joining us today. And the idea is to illustrate a funded CBE project and how it is constructed, the consortium, the objectives, because you succeeded in answering to all of the points we presented before. So I'll let you the floor to share your project.
Thank you for your invitation, and I fully agree with all your advices. I think that you have well summarized how to write the proposal. Just I want to perhaps to underline what you said about to read very carefully and to well understand the scope of the proposal. To well identify your expected outcomes in order to define your specific objective. It's very important. And I want to add something. It's since 2023, the CBE asks each year to submit each year the KPI deliverable of your project. So they created a new platform in the funding and tender portal in the Sigma platform in order to online enter your KPI. So in the phase of the preparation of the proposal, it's very important to well identify you and to well define your KPI, because each year you will have to submit the KPI you have achieved up to now up to the date of your project when it's in execution. Well, I think that so I will give you just a short testimony about not the proposal but the execution of the project. I'm Nicolas Sali. I'm a European project leader in ENIA. We are a scientific and technological center based in Valencia, in Spain. And I'm the coordinator of the Mixed Matter project. And the Mixed Matter project, very quickly, it's a project, it's an innovation action. So we will reach TRL 7 at the end of the project, from TRL 4.5 to TRL 7. And the main objective is to try to separate, to sort all the contaminants we have in different feedstock of the agri-food bio-waste. When I talk about contaminant, I talk about the cardboard, the plastic, and the glass we can found in the feedstock, in different bio-waste from the wholesale market, from the food and drink industry, or from the greenhouses, and that avoid the valorization of this feedstock. So we have different kind of solution in the project in order first to separate the cardboard and the plastic from the organic matters. And after we have a valorization hub with 5 different units and to produce different outputs with all the business cases of these different outputs. Just to give you a presentation of the consortium, because as you said before, the consortium, it's very important to have the well and the perfect partner for each of your objectives. So it's very important. So in our case, in Mixed Matter, it was an innovation action funded in 2023. And we enter now in the last third period of the project, and we are working with the feedstock with mixed bio-waste. So we have when you will structure your program, your proposal, and the description of your proposal. It's very important to have different work packages, and one important packages, it's the characterization of your feedstock. So during the first year of the project, we have identified 3 different feedstock, because during the project we will do the demonstration in 3 different demo sites. All the 3 demo sites based in Spain. One is the wholesale market, the other is a company, a food and beverage company, and the last one in the south of Spain, in the area of Almeria, where we have all the greenhouses. So it's very important to dedicate a specific, I think, in my opinion, a specific work packages for the characterization of your feedstock, if it's not well characterized. Well, here you have the different demo sites of the project, and just here to give you the photo, the picture of the consortium. We have a consortium of 18 partners. So, well, it's not so easy to coordinate consortium with a lot of partners. So in our case, we have 9 research and technological organization. With among them we have 2 university. We have 5 small and medium industry, 3 cluster, and 1 large company. When we are talking about innovation action, it's very important to have 1 or several large company in your consortium. So you can see that we have partner in Finland, in Austria, in Slovenia, in Germany, and most of them also in Spain. So just to give you an idea about the project, so one of our innovation is to design a separation unit, a mobile separation unit, able to go to each of the demo sites in order to produce secondary streams from the different feedstock, removing all the cardboard and the plastic. And once we have these different kind of secondary streams, we send it thanks to a decision support tool based on the composition analysis of the secondary streams. We send it to valorization hubs in order to produce 6 different outcomes. Well, I will not present the separation unit, but in the separation unit, just to give you a small idea, we have 2 big innovation. The first one, it's from a partner from a partner based in London, in England, who develop a technology in order to sort with camera and near eject systems with the support of artificial intelligence. We are able to automatically sort the plastic and the cardboard. And the second innovation is at the end of the separation unit, we know exactly the composition of each the secondary streams we are producing before to decide and to send to the valorization hub. So it's very important to at the beginning of the project to well identify what is the current issue. In our case, the issue was the contamination with cardboard and plastic, and to provide a solution with an innovation in order to solve this issue. It's very important. So we have the separation unit, and after we have the valorization hub with 5 different units of valorization. So each partner, well, we have, as I say, we have 9 partner belonging to research and technological organization, and these partners are distributed in 5 different valorization units in order to produce different outcomes. And as you have said during the presentation, it's very important to well identify your expected impact. So in our case, is the impact is to avoid the land feeding or incineration of mixed biowaste, removing the contamination, the plastic and the cardboard. We are also as we are able to remove the plastic, we are also valorization of the plastic in order to try to upcycle the plastic. And avoiding the incineration of the mixed biowaste, we expect to avoid up to 3,780 tons per year of greenhouse gases emission, with the creation of 18 new value chains with 6 different outputs.
Thank you, Nicolas. So you just illustrate that it is important to really quantify the impacts, and each year you have to demonstrate in which level you contribute to these expected impacts, quantified impacts. So it's really important to, at the proposal phase, be careful about the quantification and the measures.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Nicolas, for the illustration. I hope it will help the participants to project their proposal, their idea into a real project. So it can happen, as you demonstrate. So I don't know if the participants have still some questions. We answer some of them. Thank you, Nicolas. I know that you have to leave.
Chairs, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
And yes, if some of you have some questions, we can still take 1-2 minutes. But if not, the ToBeReal team remains available to help you define if your idea can be eligible to CBE JU, and if yes, which topic, how to build the project. We are here to support you. And I thank my colleague Roman and Anne for this session, with also the support of other partners from ToBeReal, so P&O Innovation, CluBE as well. It's a collaborative webinar today. So yes, I think if there is no more question, I think we can end this session. And thank you again for your participation.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.